At the far edge of known space, where the blackness stretched endlessly and only the faint glow of distant stars lit the void, the vast alien coalition fleet hovered like a storm ready to break. Hundreds of massive warships, gleaming with deadly weapons and shields, were lined up in perfect formation, a symbol of centuries of power and control. The coalition's leaders, confident and proud, watched their screens with easy smirks as they tracked a small group of ships approaching their borders. The human fleet was tiny in comparison, barely a handful of vessels compared to the aliens' armada. The aliens laughed quietly among themselves, calling the humans foolish and reckless for sending such a small force into what they saw as a death trap. "They don't know fear," one general sneered, "but they will learn it quickly." The humans moved slowly but deliberately, their ships shining with a clean, simple design that made them look fragile against the massive alien destroyers. No one expected them to pose a real threat. Still, the human captain, a calm and focused figure, sat silently on the bridge of the lead ship, his eyes steady on the starfield ahead. Behind him, his crew worked with quiet precision, knowing that the moment of truth was close. The aliens sent a few scouts forward, buzzing like angry wasps, only to have them swatted away by the humans' precise targeting systems. The coalition's confidence began to crack just slightly, though none of the commanders admitted it out loud. Back on the human flagship, a tactical officer whispered quietly to the captain, "They're underestimating us. We have one chance to show them what we're made of." The captain nodded, knowing the fate of their entire species might rest on what came next. As the alien commanders continued to laugh and exchange derisive jokes about the humans' toy ships, the air on the human bridge grew thick with tension. Everyone waited for the order, ready to turn this small fleet into a storm no one in the galaxy would forget. The aliens didn't know it yet, but their mocking laughter was the calm before a storm that would shake their empire to its core. The vast alien fleet, confident in its overwhelming size and power, continued its advance toward the small human fleet, expecting a quick and easy victory. Their warships, enormous and bristling with weapons, formed a moving wall of destruction, each ship bigger and more dangerous than anything humanity had ever faced. The alien commanders watched their screens with smug satisfaction, convinced that this was a routine patrol. No serious threat could come from such a tiny force. Yet aboard the human flagship, the atmosphere was tense but controlled. The crew moved with purpose, every system checked and rechecked, every weapon calibrated to perfection. The captain stood silently on the bridge, his gaze fixed ahead, knowing that this moment could change the future of his people forever. Communications remained quiet as the humans waited for the right time to act, their silence a sharp contrast to the alien chatter filled with mockery and dismissive jokes. Suddenly, the calm was broken as the first human ship moved forward with precision, sending a pulse of energy that struck an alien scout ship far faster than anyone expected. The aliens barely had time to react before the human fleet launched a coordinated barrage of weapon fire. Each salvo was calculated, aimed not just to damage but to disable enemy vessels quickly and efficiently. The alien fleet's initial shock turned to confusion as their massive ships began losing systems one by one. Their enormous shields flickered and faltered under the relentless human assault. The humans' weapons did not merely explode ships. They cut through defenses with surgical precision, targeting critical components and leaving the ships crippled but intact, as if the humans wanted to send a clear message. This was no mindless attack, but a statement of strength and skill. The alien commander shouted orders to regroup, to return fire with overwhelming force, but their response was slow, weighed down by their massive fleet's inertia and rigid command structures. The human pilots seized this advantage, weaving through enemy fire with unmatched agility, their smaller ships darting between the hulking warships and delivering devastating strikes before slipping away. Every time the aliens thought they had found a weak spot, adapted, changing tactics faster than the aliens could keep up. The battle quickly escalated, and what had started as a one-sided mockery turned into chaos for the alien coalition. The human fleet's advanced targeting systems, combined with highly trained crews and daring tactics, were turning the tide in ways the aliens had never imagined. As explosions rocked the front lines and alien ships began to fall, the mood on the alien flagship shifted from confident laughter to tense urgency. The alien commanders could no longer hide their surprise and fear. Messages crackled across their communication channels, orders becoming desperate and confused as the aliens tried to find a way to stop the humans. But every plan the aliens made was anticipated and countered. The humans' weapons weren't just powerful, they were smart, capable of adapting their firing patterns and frequencies to penetrate the alien shields. The aliens realized too late that their size was now a disadvantage. Their massive ships were slow to respond and easy targets for the swift, precise human attacks. Meanwhile, aboard the human ships, the crews fought with a fierce determination born of knowing they were outnumbered but never outmatched. Every crew member understood that their survival depended not on brute force, but on teamwork, innovation, and the refusal to back down. The captain of the human fleet watched as the enemy flagship took heavy damage, its once imposing silhouette now scarred and battered by human firepower. He knew victory was not guaranteed, but the shock they had delivered had shaken the alien coalition's confidence deeply. The humans' first salvo was more than just an attack. It was a declaration that they were no longer to be dismissed or underestimated. As the battle raged on, the alien fleet's formation began to falter, their ships falling into disarray as the humans pressed their advantage. The air on both sides was thick with tension and the sound of distant explosions, but it was clear the humans had turned the tide in this unexpected clash. The aliens, once so sure of victory, now scrambled to find a way to survive the storm they had dismissed. For the humans, it was only the beginning. The first salvo had shown the galaxy that size was not everything, and that the spirit and skill of humanity could change the course of any battle. The battle had shifted dramatically, and the alien coalition, once so proud and assured, now faced an enemy they had barely begun to understand. Their massive ships, though powerful, moved sluggishly in the vast blackness, while the human fleet, smaller but faster and smarter, danced through the chaos with a surprising ease. The aliens scrambled to repair their crippled vessels and reorganize their forces, but the humans were already adapting, pushing their advantage with relentless precision. The human commander had long suspected that brute strength would never be enough against the coalition's overwhelming numbers. That was why the humans had brought something more, a hidden power not visible on any sensor or scanner. Behind the lines, unseen and almost invisible, drone swarms unfolded like dark clouds, tiny machines buzzing with purpose. These drones, small as insects, but deadly in numbers, spread through the battle space, scouting, repairing, and when needed, attacking with precision strikes that the alien ships could hardly detect. The aliens had no idea how to fight an enemy that seemed to be everywhere at once, their defenses unable to target such tiny, fast-moving threats. Meanwhile, the humans' adaptive shields absorbed and redirected energy blasts, bending light and particles in ways that confounded the alien weapons targeting systems. The aliens fired again and again, but their attacks faltered as if hitting ghosts. On the human bridge, technicians monitored every wave of incoming fire, adjusting shield frequencies and rerouting power to keep the fleet intact. The crew moved swiftly and confidently, their trust in their technology and each other growing with every passing minute. Yet the true strength lay not only in technology, but in the minds and hearts of the human pilots. Each one had been trained to think beyond the usual tactics, to take risks, and to turn unexpected moves into survival. The alien commanders were stunned as they watched their own ships fall victim to sudden, clever attacks that seemed to come from nowhere. The humans exploited gaps in the alien formations, striking quickly and then disappearing into the darkness. The aliens tried to regroup, to set traps and ambushes, but the humans anticipated these moves, shifting and countering before the coalition could even begin. The battle became a game of cat and mouse, with the humans always one step ahead. Every time the aliens thought they had a plan, the humans revealed another hidden trick, a sudden EMP burst disabling key systems, or a swarm of repair drones restoring damage before it could spread. The alien commander's confidence crumbled, replaced by confusion and fear. They realized that this was no simple fleet battle. It was a test of endurance, intelligence, and adaptability. The alien ships began to falter not just because of the damage, but because their crews were exhausted and uncertain, never used to facing an enemy that refused to fight on predictable terms. On the human flagship, The captain watched all of this unfold with quiet pride. Their fleet may have been small, but they had brought the unseen strength of unity, innovation, and relentless determination. The crew knew this fight was far from over, but they had proven that size alone could not win a war. The humans were becoming a force the galaxy would have to respect, not just for their weapons, but for their spirit and courage that no machine could ever replicate. The alien coalition, shaken and humbled, faced the stark truth underestimating humanity had been their gravest mistake. The alien coalition's once confident fleet was now in chaos, battered and disorganized, forced into a desperate retreat even as the humans pressed their relentless attack. The enormous warships, once symbols of invincibility, limped through space with failing engines and broken weapons, while smaller human vessels darted around them like relentless predators. The air on the alien flagship was thick with tension and fear, commanders shouting orders that were either ignored or impossible to carry out amid the confusion. Communications buzzed with panic and frustration, a stark contrast to the calm discipline on the human side. The human captain, standing firm on his bridge, watched the enemy's faltering formation with quiet determination. He knew this moment was critical. If the humans failed to press the advantage, the coalition might regroup and crush them. But if they succeeded, they could force the aliens to negotiate, perhaps even change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The human strategy was clear: cut off the enemy's escape routes and keep up the pressure. Fleets moved swiftly to block retreat corridors, trapping alien ships in deadly zones where human fighters swarmed like flocks of hawks. The alien commanders, realizing their position was dire, attempted risky maneuvers to break free, but the humans anticipated each move. They exploited every weakness with precise strikes and coordinated assaults. One by one, alien ships were disabled or captured, their crews surrendering or fleeing in pods. The aliens' pride was shattered, their belief in their own superiority broken by an enemy they had dismissed as weak. Meanwhile, aboard the human ships, a sense of unity and purpose filled the air. Every crew member knew the stakes, and their resolve hardened. The engineers worked tirelessly to keep shields up and weapons firing. The pilots executed daring attacks with perfect timing, and the commanders communicated constantly to adapt to the shifting battle. On the alien flagship, the leading commander finally ordered a ceasefire and opened a channel to the human captain. The message was brief but clear: we yield. Let us talk. The human captain hesitated for only a moment before replying, "Your fleet is battered. We offer peace, not conquest. Let this be the start of a new chapter." As the two sides began to negotiate, the galaxy watched in stunned silence. The humans, once mocked and underestimated, had turned the tide through courage, intelligence, and unseen strength. The alien coalition had learned a hard lesson: humanity was not just a minor power, but a force that could not be ignored. And in that moment, the warships stopped firing, but the story of humanity's rise had only just begun. After the battle ended and the alien coalition's fleet ceased fire, a quiet tension filled the void where destruction had so recently roared. The human fleet remained on alert, weapons still primed, engines humming softly, ready for any sudden betrayal. The alien commanders, their pride battered but their will intact, cautiously opened communication channels to the humans. They spoke not with arrogance or contempt, but with a mixture of grudging respect and uncertainty. On the human flagship, the captain listened carefully as the alien envoy proposed talks, not demands or ultimatums, but dialogue. The humans, despite their victory, showed no hunger for conquest or revenge. Instead, they offered peace and cooperation, knowing that strength true and lasting was built not on domination, but on understanding and alliance. Days passed as the two fleets drifted in close formation, the uneasy silence between them thick with questions and hopes. Negotiations began, led by diplomats and commanders who had witnessed firsthand the courage and determination of their opponents. Stories were exchanged of battles fought, losses endured, and dreams of a future where different species might coexist without fear. Slowly, barriers of suspicion and hostility started to break down. The aliens admitted their mistake in underestimating humanity, acknowledging that the human spirit, innovation, and unity were forces unlike any they had encountered before. In turn, The humans shared glimpses of their history, how survival against impossible odds had shaped their identity, how their small fleet represented not weakness but resilience and ingenuity. Across the fleet, crews on both sides watched the process with wary eyes but growing hope. They saw former enemies working together, building bridges where once there were only walls of fire. The galaxy beyond waited with bated breath, knowing that this moment might mark the beginning of a new era. The human captain stood once more on his bridge, looking out at the alien flagship now silent and still. He reflected on how far they had come from being laughed at and dismissed to earning respect through courage and sacrifice. The journey had been harsh and uncertain, but the human fleet had proven that size was not the only measure of strength. It was the will to fight, to adapt, and to rise that truly counted. As peace talks progressed, both sides agreed on a pact and alliance built on mutual respect and shared goals, protecting their worlds and exploring the stars together. The humans no longer needed to hide behind their small numbers. They had earned a place among the great powers of the galaxy, a beacon of hope and determination. And when stories were told in the years to come, the tale of the human fleet would inspire generations. They laughed at the human fleet's size until it started firing, and from that moment on, no one ever doubted the strength of humanity again.